I just recorded like 10 minutes of footage and realized that my mic was off, so here we go again. Okay, hello. Welcome back to the channel. This is the second episode of our still unnamed Disney podcast, and today we are discussing toddlers, everything toddler, and mostly this is a video about how to have the best possible trip and most enjoyable trip with a toddler when you're going to Disney for the very first time. I'm going to preface this video by saying the best thing to do is to not put a lot of pressure on anything or anyone, not on your toddler, not on yourself, and not on Disney itself and the trip as a whole, because as you know, if you have a toddler, everything's going to go the way that you didn't plan it. If you expect your toddler to be one way, they will be the opposite. If you expect them to do something, they will be doing the opposite. So they're always keeping you on your toes. And so that's why my biggest piece of advice, especially for their first Disney trip, is just try and go with the flow. Don't have too many expectations. So that's my biggest piece of advice to start off this video. So this is going to be a bit of a controversial one, and not everyone will be able to do it. This is if you're going in between flying or driving, you can't decide. If it's your toddler's first time going to Disney, and this is like your first really big trip with them, drive. Drive if you can, if you're close enough. We're 16 hours personally from Disney, so we did 8 hours, stayed at a hotel, and then went the next day and drove another 8 hours and got there. Again, that is not for everyone. If your toddler doesn't do well in the car, or if you're way too far away, obviously that's not going to work for you. This is just for people who are going back and forth. For us, driving was so much easier because I didn't know how she would do on a plane, and actually physically being out of state and with a toddler is already stressful enough, but the traveling part and like the idea of flying on a plane was really stressing me out. So in order to just make it a lot less stressful for me, I just decided to drive. And I'm just like very specific with the stuff that I pack for her, like all her sleeping stuff, you know, specific items that I didn't want to have to really keep track of if we were traveling on a plane. So it was nice just to be able to double and triple check my trunk and just have room for a lot of extra things, again, just for peace of mind. And my toddler luckily does great in the car, so it was honestly pretty stress-free for us. So if you're going in between flying and driving and you're really nervous for flying, just drive. And if that helps you and just your peace of mind, just by knowing everything that you're bringing and that you can bring a lot of very specific items, driving is probably going to be your best option. This time around we're flying, so this will be my toddler's very first time on a plane, which is making me so nervous, and I'm trying not to stress about it. But for her first trip, I'm very glad that we drove because I didn't have to worry about the stress of a plane. So it was just like one less thing to worry about, if that makes sense. Next piece of advice, which is pretty much obvious, is just pack snacks. Just knowing that you have snacks for your toddler that you know that they're going to eat. You don't have to wait in line at a park and figure out what is where, what location. Just pack the snacks that you know that they're going to eat ahead of time, and that was a big help, especially if dining reservations are like maybe a little bit later than they would be eating dinner or lunch at home. This way you can kind of hold them over, and again, you know they're going to eat it and you don't have to wait in line. It just makes everyone's day a little bit more pleasant, I think. By the way, I forgot, I said this in the last video I recorded before I realized my mic wasn't on. I just have all these tips in no particular order on my phone. So if this is just kind of like in random order, that's why. It's because my mom brain coming up with this list, it was just like, oh yeah, this and this and this too and this too. Like it has no type of rhyme or reason. Next tip is another obvious one, but it's take a midday break. That is a huge tip that I have, and me and my husband did this even before we had a kid. Taking a midday break after you've been at the parks all morning and you want to stay at nighttime, just go and take that break. I know it's really hard not to put a lot of pressure on yourself to stay in the park the whole time because of the money that you spent, especially now that tickets are so expensive. It's hard to take that break because you feel you're taking time away from the park and the money that you spent. But it honestly is just going to be best for everyone if you just go and take that midday break. For us last time, we went with her regular schedule, her regular nap schedule, so which was honestly a perfect time because it was like 1 to 3 or like 12:30 to 3-ish, so it was right when like the park would get really hot. You know, we'd been there all morning. It was just time for everyone to go rest. So now she would nap, we would be able to like lay down, freshen up, and then around 3 we would go and have our like second half of the day in the park, which was just great because everyone got some rest, we all cooled off, and it just keeps everyone happy. Speaking of not putting too much pressure on spending like every minute in the park and just going, trying to get everything done, is don't do too many park days with your toddler the first time that you go. We did one Disney day and one Universal day. I regret doing the Universal day. I can probably talk about that in another video, but we did Epcot. We just hung out at the pool. At the time we were staying in an Airbnb, so there was a pool, a splash pad, a park, and then we would also then go do dining reservations at different Disney resorts. So even if we weren't at a Disney park, it still had that Disney magic and it still felt like a Disney trip. But honestly, in my opinion, again, every toddler is different, but I feel like toddlers at this age are not equipped to do long open to close park days every single day. There really needs to be a balance and some breaks. And again, it still feels like a Disney trip when you're hanging out at a pool, even if you're like off property but like really close to the parks. There's still activities to do at all the resorts and at Disney Springs, and you can still, again, feel like it's a Disney trip. But us doing 2 park days, technically 1 Disney day, felt like a full packed trip still. So I couldn't imagine doing more than 1 or 2 theme park days with a toddler. Again, that comes back to not putting too much pressure on the trip itself or your toddler to think that they're going to be at their best. If you're going in crowded, hot parks, it's just best to like take this first trip and just kind of chill, you know, like ease into the full Disney trips. And that's kind of what I did last year for our daughter. I just wanted to like ease into it because we are very blessed and we usually go once a year, sometimes twice a year. That was before we had a kid though. So we're able to keep going, and as she gets older, keep adding park days. But even still, even, you know, just for an adult, it's nice to have a few just rest or pool days or resort days to even go visit other resorts. Take advantage of those rest days, pool days, whatever you want to do, because at the end of the day, I feel like, especially for your toddler's first trip, everyone's just going to have a way better time. My next tip for, again, this is just for like taking your toddler for the very first time. I would say either splurge on a moderate or deluxe resort that has a balcony, or rent TVC points to make it cheaper, or stay at an Airbnb, because a balcony will be your best friend. And I'm so glad we had a balcony for our first trip because it was just so nice. Because obviously when your toddler is not in their space at home with a playroom and, you know, just like their own area, there's a lot of stuff for them to get into, especially at like an Airbnb. There's not a ton they can get into at a hotel room, but still, it's just like, you know, they don't have all their toys, they're just not used to like where they are. So it's sometimes a lot just like making sure that they're not getting into stuff. And like when everyone's trying to get ready in the morning, we had a balcony at our Airbnb, and it was like the best thing ever, because like while I was getting ready, my husband would go out there with her and we'd be like, just use your bubble wand or color or do something. Like, to have that outdoor space for her was amazing, while she was also like contained. So like we could all kind of have our own space even though we were in a smaller area than our own home. So, and she loved the balcony, and like we had a great view and stuff. So I would say, again, if you're able to drive and so you'll have a car, like I would highly suggest an Airbnb, just because it's going to be a lot cheaper than a moderate or deluxe resort. But you're going to have that great balcony space. You can go out there after your kids go to bed, if they go to bed early, like that was us. a balcony is like a toddler parent, their best friend, and I didn't realize that until we had one last trip. So very sad. We're staying at Art of Animation this time, so we won't have a balcony, and I know I'm gonna miss it. If you can, like I said, if you're able to drive, do the Airbnb, get a balcony, get a nice little like space for you to like be outside if you need to, or if your toddler needs to go outside and stay contained. It's great for like getting ready in the morning, or you know, just winding down at the end of the night. It really does make a big difference. Next tip, and that's again if you are having a lot of like non-park days, is to utilize the resort dinner reservations, because if you're driving, you have a 2-hour window to park at in a resort before your dining reservation. So I guess it could be like 2 hours before or 2 hours after your reservation. Obviously, if you were just flying and taking Disney transportation, you could just take the bus at your resort to Disney Springs, and then from Disney Springs take whatever bus to whatever resort for wherever you have a reservation for. And obviously you're able to spend a lot more time than just 2 hours there, but still having that 2-hour window if you're driving and parking is plenty. What we would do is we would make reservations for like 5 p.m. and so she would have her nap until like 3. We would get freshened up, we would go out, and we'd probably get to whatever resort we were going to at like 3:30. And so that gave her like an hour and a half to run around, like either run around inside if it was too hot and explore the hotel, or like she ran around the boardwalk, we did the Surrey bikes. So we had that good chunk of time to get her energy out before she sat down for a meal. So that is another big tip that I have, is try to get their energy out before a meal. Utilize that time at resorts because there's a lot of stuff for kids to do. There's parks, like little play areas. Like I said, there's bikes. And sometimes even had like little lawn games out at certain resorts. Like there's a ton for kids to do. So utilize that window of time before a reservation. Next tip I have is just kind of a short and sweet tip. Bring a stroller fan. Very helpful. My toddler needed it a lot, but she also played with it a lot. So she would like try to turn it off like that. She was obsessed with turning it off. So a lot of times I would use it too. And it's really nice to use at the tables when you sit down at a restaurant, or just, you know, again, keep it on their stroller when you're walking around, use it. Like everyone used it. So having a stroller fan, we just got ours on Amazon, is one of the best tips. Like just don't forget the stroller fan. Next tip is to carry your diaper bag with you when you go on a ride. So when you park your stroller, just try to leave the least amount of things as possible in your stroller, because there have been, especially recently, a lot of theft incidents, and a lot of stroller theft. And so we just would put all our important things in her diaper bag and just carry it on, because it's not like we're going on big thrill rides. Like we could literally just put the diaper bag by our feet on a ride, and we just had that peace of mind. So just don't put too much in your stroller, because people will steal things. Unfortunately, that's how the world is. But yeah, just carry the diaper bag. So make sure you have a comfortable diaper bag with you. Next tip is to not forget about Epcot and Animal Kingdom as toddler parks. We took our toddler to Epcot last year. We didn't even do Magic Kingdom because Epcot has plenty of small rides for them, and it's a lot more open and a lot less crowded, and we didn't need lightning lanes for anything. We just didn't do Frozen, so that was like the one like kid ride that we weren't able to do. But so we didn't even need lightning passes because everything was like 25 minutes max to wait in line. So Epcot is definitely like the best park for the first time toddler. And again, that's because like there was enough room and space for her to walk around if she wanted to. It wasn't overwhelming. I feel like Magic Kingdom can get very overwhelming. Sorry, I had to charge my camera battery. Let's make sure I turned my mic on. Yes, I did. Okay. So I'm hoping I remember where I left off on. I remember I was talking about Epcot. Don't forget about Epcot and Animal Kingdom. So we took my toddler to Epcot as her first and only Disney park because, and I know I already said this, it was because Magic Kingdom I feel like can get very busy and very crowded, and I feel like since it's all basically small rides, obviously with a couple exceptions, since it's all kid rides, I feel like you do now need to purchase lightning lanes, which is what I'll be doing for the first time. Still don't know how they work because I have been refusing ever since you had to pay to skip the lines. I refused. So I miss the old Fast Pass. Anyway, that's a whole other tangent, but now for the first time with a toddler and going to Magic Kingdom, I will be purchasing lightning lanes. But yeah, with Epcot, it was very easy to not have to purchase a lightning lane. A lot of people think of Epcot as like the adult park, and while it is, there are so many great things for toddlers. They just added a new playground actually, so that makes either 3 or 4 playgrounds on the Epcot property, which we utilized when we brought her to Epcot. Epcot has amazing character dining. We went to Garden Grill, and we're going back to Garden Grill this year, and she absolutely loved it. It was so chill, it wasn't too crowded. The whole restaurant in a whole was so calm, like, you know, as opposed to a Magic Kingdom character dining or like Chef Mickey's at the Contemporary or something. Like, Garden Grill was the best first character dining for a toddler because the characters come around multiple times. Again, it's quiet, it's chill, the food is just like, for the most part, like relatively clean. Like, I don't think they serve anything fried, not that I can remember, but it's just like a clean-ish meal and a great environment, and again, just chill. So Epcot, do not forget about Epcot as a toddler park. I feel like that, in my opinion, is the best first park for a toddler. Like, don't even try Magic Kingdom. We are trying it the second year we're going for a second time, and I don't regret not going to Magic Kingdom her first time going. Just don't make Magic Kingdom your first choice for toddlers because, in my opinion, I feel like Epcot and Animal Kingdom are almost superior. I would say Epcot first, especially the area in Future World. Not so much the countries. I mean, you still have like the Mexico boat ride and everything, and Frozen if you are able to get on and you want, or if you want to wait in line for that. But yeah, definitely Future World and Epcot is ideal for toddlers, and so it really made our experience so chill and, like, again, a great introductory experience for my toddler. So yeah, don't forget those parks. Yeah, Animal Kingdom, there's not... Are there any rides for little kids? I don't think so, besides like the safari. By little kids, I mean like babies, toddlers. But they do have the Boneyard and that little like park area, and they have a lot of different nature walks and trail walks, and they used to have a petting zoo at that one area that you like take the little train to. I don't remember what that's called. I haven't been to Animal Kingdom in a couple years. I sound like such a fake fan. Oh, or Viki's Planet Watch. You used to be able to go right in and like pet all the goats and stuff, and I thought you could, but then I saw someone on YouTube go recently, and you can't go in and pet them anymore, but you can just like hang out near them, and it's still cute to see the animals, but there's a lot more opportunities just to do some like different things, like besides rides. So those are the 2 parks we're doing with her. Epcot is just for a little bit this trip, but we're doing Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom like for 2 full days, and those will be our 2 full park days. So even this trip, she's only getting 2 park days. Again, we're easing into it. So this last tip kind of just goes along with everything that I said and kind of like recaps everything, which is don't worry about staying until close or seeing fireworks, or, I mean, honestly, rope drop is beneficial, I would say, for toddlers, because most of the time they're up early anyway. I would utilize rope drop, but I would not, like, don't put pressure on your toddler or yourself to make it to fireworks and do an all-day thing, even with a break, because if your toddler, like, I mean, it's great if your toddler can, like, go past their bedtime and they're, like, super chill in the morning, like, that is amazing for you, and I love that for you. However, my child would be struggling, and so would I, if we made it to fireworks. So for their very first trip, like, if this is like the only time you're planning on taking your whole family, like, yes, obviously worry about fireworks. However, if you have 1 or 2 toddlers like we do, we just have 1, but if the trip is just with them and with you, don't worry about fireworks, because hopefully you'll have more opportunities to bring them. Even this trip, like, she's not going to see a single firework. Also, she hates loud noises. Like, she's not going to like those. And I know, like, fireworks are all part of, like, the Disney experience. However, if you're taking a young kid, don't put pressure on anyone, especially your toddler, to make it to fireworks. It is just worth it for everyone to try and stick to your schedule. And again, that's kind of just like keeping things chill, you know? And again, not putting too much pressure on anything or anyone. Like, my toddler wouldn't even like Fantasmic because it's probably like too dark for her and too loud and too scary. Like, don't worry about any of the nighttime activities is what I'm saying. Like, just go back to the hotel, you know, try and keep your routine as normal as possible. Again, that's gonna like set you up for a great day the next day, or, you know, the greatest time you could have as possible. Because we all know at the end of the day, your toddler decides the day that everyone's gonna have. So these tips are kind of just like setting you up for success and for the best possible laid back trip with your toddler for the first time. And so, yeah, just that is my biggest piece of advice, is just don't put too much pressure on them or yourself or the park, and just try and enjoy your time and don't try and get everything done. So that is all my advice for taking a toddler for the first time. Next video, I think we're going to talk about Flower and Garden, because I'm going very soon and I'm excited to talk about all the new happenings and all the new stuff. So we will come up with a title for this podcast very soon. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped you out, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!